It's time now for the Campaign Beat, our daily roundup of news from the French presidential campaign trail. I'm joined by Florence Villepinte.
Hey, Dylan.
Hi, Flo. Now, it's the final countdown to the round two of the presidential election. The far-right's Marine Le Pen and her centrist rival Emmanuel Macron are holding dual rallies in and around the capital. May Day is also a day when trade unions hold rallies across the country.
Indeed, traditionally French trade unions stage nationwide demonstrations on the 1st of May to campaign for workers' rights. But this year, la Fête du Travail is a little bit different. It's very political, of course, just days before the second round of the presidential election. Unions are divided over what strategy to adopt in this Sunday's runoff. It's really a striking contrast to what happened back in 2002 when unions were very united when Jean-Marie Le Pen made it to round two of the presidential election. Solange Mougin tells us more.
Day for day, 15 years ago on May 1st, 2002, some 1.3 million people across France came out to voice their anger that the National Front had made it to the second round of the presidential elections. It was a moment of near national unity. Fast forward to today. Coming together to block the National Front may be a thing of the past. For France's two top unions have both come out against the far-right party, but in different ways, and they won't be marching together. The head of the CGT union called for its members to block Marine Le Pen, but refused to endorse Emmanuel Macron either. Philippe Martinez wants voters to put a blank slip of paper in their ballot envelopes.
We're very clear, no votes for the National Front.
So either Macron or abstention?
No to the National Front, and if no one's for the other candidate, he isn't elected.
The CFDT, on the other hand, has publicly backed Macron. Yet its leader said that doesn't mean they'll blindly support him if he wins next Sunday. He said, "We will fight Emmanuel Macron if we disagree with him, namely in regard to his social reforms." A splintering of the unified front against Marine Le Pen has been visible in marches over the past week.
We're against Le Pen and Macron and against the entire capitalist system, which we aren't in favour of at all.
With such divisiveness in this election year over the candidates, and in light of terrorist threats, some 9,000 police officers and gendarmes will be on call for the marches.
Now, workers aren't the only ones to mark the 1st of May. It's also a traditional day of celebration for the far-right National Front.
Indeed, for over 25 years, the Front National, the National Front, has held a wreath-laying ceremony in front of a statue of Joan of Arc that's located right near the Louvre in central Paris. Now, Joan of Arc wasn't born on the 1st of May. She didn't die on the 1st of May. So why hold this celebration on the 1st of May? Well, critics accuse the National Front of hijacking May Day from trade unions. But over the past couple of years, past 2 years, this event has been marked by divisions between the two biggest players in the National Front, Marine Le Pen and her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen. This year, for instance, Jean-Marie Le Pen, you can see images of it just a little while ago, he paid tribute to Joan of Arc without his daughter for the second year running. Marine, meanwhile, is gearing up for her last major rally before the election on May 9th, and this is taking place right now in Villepinte, a poor working-class neighborhood suburb of Paris. And we can cross to our reporter, Catherine Nicholson, who's covering that event for us. Catherine, Marine Le Pen is right in the middle of speaking right now. So tell us a little bit more about Villepinte. Is there a particular reason why Marine Le Pen decided to hold her final rally there?
Indeed, Marine Le Pen has, in fact, just as you were introducing me there, just wrapped up her speech, and I think you can probably see the ticker tape and goings on stage behind me there. Now, Villepinte, it is indeed an interesting location for Marine Le Pen to choose for this final rally before the second round vote. It's in the Paris region, and we know that Paris voted very strongly against Marine Le Pen in the first round. I don't think she got above 6% in any of the central Paris neighborhoods. However, as you go further out from the center of Paris, that vote score does go up, and here in Villepinte, Marine Le Pen scored 15% in the first round, so more than double what she got in her best Paris neighborhood. However, I ought to point out that it's far, far, far behind the hard left candidate, Jean-Luc Mélenchon. In this area, he scored more than 35% of the vote in the first round. And Marine Le Pen, in her speech, has been pretty openly trying to reach out to his traditional voter base. We're talking about workers, we're talking about people who don't have so much money, people who feel that they have been left behind by the system and by the establishment. Just to pick out a couple of points that Marine Le Pen said, she was talking about stopping globalization. She mentioned the workers at the Whirlpool factory that she visited last week, where workers are in danger of losing their jobs, those jobs being delocalized to Poland. She also talked about being the candidate who's interested in the environment. She said we haven't heard much about this in the presidential campaign. That's true. We also haven't heard about it really from her before. However, it was one of Jean-Luc Mélenchon's favourite areas to talk about. So it seems that she's trying to move on to his territory there. We also heard her talking about her core policy areas, of course, immigration, wanting to close France's borders, and as you might expect, with less than a week to go before the first round, some very harsh and repeated attacks on her rival Emmanuel Macron.
So you can see Marine Le Pen there kind of reaching across the political divide, trying to get far left voters. People are saying, you know, this election in 2017 is very different from 2002 when Jean-Marie Le Pen made it to round two. A lot of questions about whether the Front National, the National Front, has changed under Marine Le Pen's leadership. Is that indeed what you're hearing from National Front supporters today?
Well, it's interesting because going out speaking to National Front supporters, every single person I spoke to, and I spoke to around about a dozen people before coming live with you, Flo, every single one of them is a card-carrying member of the National Front and has been for many, many years. So these are really her hardcore supporters here. They said straight up that they've always supported the National Front Party, and they always will. So perhaps not the people that she's trying to reach out to with her sort of clean-up of the party's image. One thing that is certainly new today for Marine Le Pen and the National Front is that she's got the open public endorsement of the leader of another political party for the first time. His name is Nicolas Dupont-Aignan. He has his own party, Debout la France, or Arise France, and he ran in the first round. He got below 5% of the overall score in that first round. However, he is also anti-European. He's a nationalist, sovereignist candidate. He signed an alliance with Marine Le Pen. That's the first time that another political party has done that. And she has repeated once again on stage today that if she's elected, she will name him as her prime minister. So there again, one more big difference between the National Front presidential election of 2017 and the election of 2002.
Thanks so much, Catherine Nicholson there reporting from Villepinte. Of course, Marine Le Pen hoping that that new alliance with Nicolas Dupont-Aignan will change things this Sunday in the runoff. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
We have to wait and see. 6 days to go. Thank you very much. That's all we have time for on this episode of the Campaign Beat.